Matthew, how are you doing, brother?
Hey, mate. Good. How are you?
Well, you saw me freaking out the last half hour.
Dude.
And you have been incredibly patient and incredibly kind. Thank you so much. That was, oh my gosh. It was uploading at like 1 megabyte. No, sorry, 0.8 megabytes per second. It was ridiculous. But we're up and we're going. Matthew, who the heck are you?
Mate, I'm from Australia, as you probably can tell. Who am I, or what do I do?
Well, I want to learn a little bit about you first. Let's let the audience know about you. I don't think you are on YouTube. Have you ever had a conversation like this on the air before?
No, I haven't. So I'm a practicing medical doctor. Have been for about a decade and a half in the fields of family medicine and subspecialising now more in exercise medicine. Did a Bachelor of Science as an undergrad and majored in anatomy and physiology with some evolutionary biology and chemistry and biochem and other things mixed in.
Okay.
I'm also, sorry.
Oh no, I'm just okay. I'm
also a young Earth creationist.
You're also a young Earth creationist.
I am.
And you've studied biology, so there are a couple quick jumping in points, but I don't want to cut off who you are because that's not the only bit about you. In the time that it took for us to meet, to kind of do a pre-interview and set things up and go over the tech, I've met your wife, I've met your children. You have a lovely family. You seem like a general, all-around sweet guy, and I'm really excited to get you on the air and talk to you. You froze up a little bit just now, and you've disconnected. That's fantastic. So I guess I'm just going to move over to a single screen until my guest comes back. Oh, good.
I'm back, baby.
Good. I was vamping. That's not good. Okay. So I was saying, you're a decent guy. You've got a good family. Your wife and kids seem really sweet. And it has been fun having a bit of a pre-interview with you. What got me excited talking to you was you said that you watch the shows, that you've tried calling in before, and also that while you're a young Earth creationist, you also accept that speciation occurs through evolution. And I guess where I wanted to start there is, do you accept evolution?
I accept it as a valid theory in the scientific sense of the word theory, as opposed to the, it's just a theory sense.
Oh, that's good. So do you think that, oh my goodness. Okay. I don't even know where to start. I guess let's start with the obvious. If you think that the Earth is 5,000 years old, do you think that the animals that we see today were put on Earth the way they are currently?
The way they are currently, no.
Okay.
No, I don't.
So
for example, I would, with dogs, I would not say there were Great Danes and Chihuahuas put on the Earth 5,700, 5,800 years ago. I would say there were dogs from which have produced over selective natural breeding processes, artificial breeding at times, the various versions that we have today.
okay. So, but you think that they kind of come from a proto dog?
Yes.
That okay. So there are so many places to go, but there are so many assumptions that also come with talking to a young Earth creationist. I remember when you reached out, our very first conversation, I laughed when you told me that, because I said, I'm actually emceeing the Ark Encounter protest this summer.
Yeah.
Which is great. And you said, well, that's okay because you have issues with that ministry as well. So
I do.
I don't know where to dig in first, man. How about you start us off?
What I start us off? Well, to expound more on who am I? I grew up from a young age, around 6, as a Christian, accepting the Bible as literal and reliable, never questioning it. And I never got to the point where I questioned it and needed to prove it because I was questioning it.
Okay.
But I got to the point where I thought, I do believe it regardless, but if it's truth, it is provable. So using the techniques and facts that I learnt through my degrees, I applied critical thinking to the data. And by the data, I mean not the interpretations of the data that are given to us, but the data themselves, in the forms of whatever it is, whether it's light and redshifts, or whether it's fossils and rocks or genetics, whatever it is. I would look at the data and draw conclusions from the data to see if the scriptural claim is falsifiable. Okay,
well, let's start there. How old do you think the Earth is?
Somewhere in the order of 5,700 to 5,800 years.
Okay, what data led you to that?
Right. The Hebrew scriptures.
Okay. Do the Hebrew scriptures point toward other things that you accept about the world that are only in the Hebrew scriptures, or are you making a special exception? Sure. You're saying that you're informed by a book, a very old book, right?
Yes.
Is that the only thing that has caused you to think that the Earth is 5,800 years old? Or
yes and no. Let me use an analogy to maybe clarify where we're going. The data can be analogous to pieces of a puzzle. You have the same pieces as I have. It's a big puzzle, and we're trying to put them together, and there's a box that the puzzle comes in with a picture on the box, but that's not in itself part of the puzzle. The puzzle pieces are the data that we have from the scientific community, secular and theist. We have the data. And we try to put that puzzle together. And the way that somebody like yourself might put it together is if there are two straight pieces. Mm-hmm. You don't assume that that's the edge of the picture. You put a straight piece against a straight piece because they match, and you leave the edge of the picture open to the possibility of there being more pieces.
Well, I don't know if I would follow that. I think the first one, I don't know if it was just an aside, but you said secular and theist data. I don't think actual data cares. You know,
you misunderstood me then. No,
okay.
What I meant, I didn't mean the data was secular or theist. I meant the data, whether it's used by the secular world or the theist world, the data itself.
Okay.
What's been observed.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's what I mean. They're the pieces of the puzzle. Okay, they're things that we don't dispute. Sure. Nobody disputes.
So I would say that corroborating evidence and being able to make predictions based on models that you're able to see across different fields of study leads to a higher valuation of that information and definitely informs a better theory the more we learn about it. Do you agree?
Yes, absolutely. That is where a lot of Christians go wrong in saying evolution's just a theory. It's a test hypothesis. It's a tested hypothesis that has been repeatedly not falsified.
Right.
And therefore has become a theory in the sense of it's the best explanation we have based on the data. But involved in that process are assumptions. And it's those assumptions that I differ on. And the assumptions aren't part of the data. The assumptions are, okay, we have all of these pieces of the puzzle. Mm-hmm. This piece has a shape that matches this piece. Let's put it together and see if it fits. It fits, okay, let's leave it there for now and see if the other pieces around it fit. That's the assumptive process. We put pieces together and see if they fit. And the vast majority, it would seem, of people with those very same puzzle pieces have come to the same conclusion, that there is a universe that's 13.8 billion years old. We're living on a rock that's 4.5 odd billion years old. All life on the planet has come from one single precursor. And what I would say to Christians that say, well, the world doesn't prove evolution, I would say, hold on. To the Christians, I would say, hold on, you're not accurately assessing the data from this model, this hypothesis.
Mm-hmm. But you are.
Sorry?
But you are.
Yes. I've studied evolutionary biology at uni, mm-hmm. And from that model, the data fit. And I don't dispute that.
Awesome. It's funny when and this is just something that I've seen, apologists who've studied biology, and especially evolutionary biology, their apologetics usually don't include denying evolution. But they usually...
Deny? Oh.
They don't usually include denying evolution in their arguments. It usually kind of sticks to the fringes and kind of gets put in this God of the gaps. In a not understood or not well understood place. And so I guess my first assumption is, how much do you know about geology? How much do you know about history? And how much have you looked into it to be able to support the hypothesis that the Earth is 5,700 years old? I mean, let me try this. It seems like your starting place is that the Bible is true. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Why isn't your starting place, I want to know what is true?
Because of one thing, faith. And this is where, and I understand that at that one comment, I lose many atheist listeners, and I'm not saying you or your atheist listeners, but...
Well, I mean... Why
What
is
I mean
faith
by
good enough for you? Yeah, let's define faith. What does faith mean?
So when I've heard Christians talk about faith, the impression that I get from them is they're saying you need faith to see the evidence. So they quote Hebrews 11. Faith is the evidence of things not seen, the substance of things hoped for. And the reasoning process that I seem to glean from their arguments leading on from that, that they say you need faith to see the evidence. And I disagree.
Right.
I think and this is why I think very smart people the world over see the evidence and don't see God. Because you don't need faith to see the evidence. Faith is the evidence. What do I mean by that? Well, there are a few scriptures that say faith is a gift. Yehovah has given the measure of faith to all men. The gift proves the giver, and the one who accepts the gift knows the giver, and the one who doesn't accept the gift or doesn't use the gift has no basis for using it as part of the proof process. So when
hold on. There are so many assumptions in there that I can't let pass. First off, you're saying that there's a gift, and that gift is what? Logic?
No.
Okay.
That gift is faith.
That gift is faith. What is faith?
Yeah. Faith, in the analogy of the puzzle box, is the box.
Just a definition. I just want a definition for faith.
For me, I take the definition from Hebrews 11. It's the substance of things not seen.
So I know that we've talked in an earlier conversation about deepities. A deepity being something that sounds profound until you take a look at it and realize that it means absolutely nothing. And upon looking at that specific scripture, I would say that that's a deepity. That definition why I use that as a definition. We're back. Okay. Sorry about that, but I didn't want you to keep going and then people not be able to hear you. So you were saying...
So you said, and I've heard you say, you want to believe as many true things and as few false things as possible.
Right.
Now, in medical terminology, we're talking it's and false negatives. Yeah.